All right. On that note, we will go right into our movie reviews. All right, we reviewed a movie off of HBO Max. The name of it was *Malignant*. So, to give you the spoiler-free synopsis, it's a movie about a young lady who is beginning terrorized by an entity that also is allowing her to see the kills of other victims. How is this woman attached to this entity, and how is these other people's deaths attached to this woman? We find out in this movie called *Malignant*. Okay, because I feel like the most heat is going to come off of Jason. So, Jason, let's go ahead and let you jump right into this. *Malignant*, what you got?
I want to try to come up with one of your puns. Like, this movie is what it is. Like, the name of the movie is what it is to the world. It is *Malignant*. This movie is so fucking dumb. Like, it's just like from one instance to the next, it's just dumb. It's just like, oh god, I really like wanted to stop watching this movie. And I will say there was one part where I was like, oh, that's exciting. It's when the spoiler alert, the creature, it's not really a spoiler, the creature is in jail and starts killing the women in the jail, and then the whole cop scene after that. I thought that was pretty cool.
You mean the 70s prison that she was in?
Yeah. Which is like, all right, if any person who is inside the movies, which I don't think is listening to this, but if they are, y'all look at a jail cell that's been made in the last 20 years. Like, there are no more bars in jails anymore. You don't have one cop just running there like, oh my god, something's happening, and start firing wildly into a cell. And also, not everybody who's in jail is a bad person. In fact, if you're in lockup, they're mostly really nice to you. They like talk to you and try to steer you on the right path. They're not just going to start whooping your ass because they're all in fucking jail. Like, stop doing that shit. Okay?
They won't.
This movie is like, most of this movie is like, I'm sorry, Jaren, that you are of the Caucasian variety, but it's like, in this movie is like, when white folk hear something, let's investigate. Even though it's like no reason for it. Like, if I saw that my TV just suddenly turned on, or my blender started fucking, and the fucking door just opens, and I'm fucking getting the fuck out of there. I'm not going to go, that's odd. If the fucking lights in my fucking haunted tour start fucking going out, and I start hearing sounds, I don't go, that's odd. I should investigate. I run the fuck away.
If that blender turns on, though, and it's loud as fuck, I'm at least going to go try to turn it off. I mean,
I'm not going nowhere near that motherfucker. This movie is also very overly dramatic. Like, I texted you guys, and I'm like, is this like it felt like a parody of a fucking scary movie to me. Like, if someone was trying to, like, lampoon how people act in scary movies, that's how this acting and this dialogue was. Like, I thought they were fucking with us. I'm like, this can't be what they're really trying to give us, right? This can't be like the acting. It is just so god awful and over the top and melodramatic. I legitimately thought, like, 5 minutes in or 20 minutes in, they're gonna pull the rug and then be like, oh, I'm just watching a movie inside a movie, and then the real movie's gonna start. But no,
interesting.
This movie is shit.
So the dialogue got you, huh?
The dialogue got me, even though I'm a Star Wars fan. But it's not just dialogue; it's bad fucking acting and the fucking cops. God damn, y'all need to stop doing this for fucking cops, guys. Like, I am a fucking ACAB motherfucker. I think all motherfucking cops are bad, but at least they're not fucking stupid in real life, right? These fucking cops are fucking dumb. Like, rocks dumb. Like, you're getting your fucking precinct slaughtered, and not one of you fucking calls back up. You're like, oh, and we're just gonna go chase after it by myself. Like, you're fucking dumb. Like it's not how that works in the real life, man. Like, I get pulled over and I get 6 cops show up. I don't go. They're not gonna fucking go off by themselves without calling nobody. Like,
she did call for the National Guard, I think.
Yeah, after she got fucked up.
Also, like, that dude wasn't black, so
yeah,
they saw the hair. It was like,
we can handle this.
Afro. It's not an afro, so we can take this ourselves.
Yeah, and he had a white woman mannequin head on the back of him. So,
and don't get me started on that fucking monster. Like, once they started showing it for real, I'm like, this thing looks fucking stupid. It looks like the whole fucking concept of it is fucking dumb. Like her head splits open and there's a fucking face, and then it goes. Why'd y'all make me watch this movie? And the worst thing about this movie, the very worst thing about this fucking movie.
Tell us the worst thing now.
Yeah, so what's the worst
It's not even fucking scary. It's not even fucking. Not 1 second of it is it scary. Not 1 second of it am I like, oh, that's a legit terrifying thing. Nothing about this movie is scary. I'll let my fucking 4-year-old kids watch this fucking movie because nothing is scary. It's just
mildly tense.
Not even that.
Like mild sauce from Taco Bell, mildly.
Yeah.
Tense.
I'm sorry. I'm done.
Oh man,
y'all do something else.
We are far. This first time, I think me and Jason are really like apart on something. I'm excited. Usually it's always me and Jaron. Me and Jaron always get polar opposites and everything. And I can say we're polar opposites. I would jump in and I'll let Jaron do hit cleanup on this one.
Sure.
So I do feel differently about this movie. The pun that I was going to use is that because wearing your clothes right side up is wiggity 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 whack. Because that whole backwards thing was hilarious to me. Hilarious to me. Especially when they got the reveal. Because when the thing was moving, it was like moving funky, but you couldn't get a good vision on it. But finally, when you realize, like, oh, this motherfucker's moving backwards, I laughed so hard. I had to pause the movie. I was laughing so hard. Because I'd be damned if somebody walking backwards is going to whoop my ass. I'm sorry. Fuck out of here. Like,
and be flipping all over the shit. Oh my God.
Oh man. So the problem with this movie is that this was a passion project for James Wan. Because like you said, how you said it felt like well,
he's got to get new passion.
Get to that. Because I'm gonna get to it why you can tell that in this movie. I'm gonna get to it. And so if you look at this movie, and I was telling Jaron, I'm like, yeah, he said it was like one of a passion project. This is what he really wanted to do. But he said he made way better films. And I thought to myself, and I was like, I lowered his number. I lowered my rating because I'm like, well, he made way better films. And this is his passion project. Why does this suck? And I thought to myself, if you really break down this movie encompasses all the fun shit that just James Wan wanted to do. It starts off as a creature feature. That opening scene is ripped straight out of a creature feature. Like the whole, what's in there? Oh my God. Put this thing down. We got to stop it from getting loose. It could have been the opening for Jurassic Park. I mean, let's be completely honest. Yeah. It's a creature feature. And then it switches over to a psychological like a slasher movie, a supernatural slasher movie with the opening scene with her and her husband and all that, which when you said there was no scary parts, I thought that part was probably the scariest part that could have been because we didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
But it then gets undercut by like homie's way he's killed with his head being around. Like, yeah, okay, anyway, we don't go into that. So then you go into this movie, turns into like a psychological thriller, and then it ends up spinning around to an actioneer.
Into an action movie.
And then it finishes off with a sentiment of family and love. So literally, this is James Wan was like, all the shit I enjoy in making movies, I'm going to put it all in one movie. But that does not make a good movie, James Wan. It just makes a movie that maybe
I don't
you
even think
care
it makes
about.
A movie.
That everybody else, well, I mean, it's a movie, it's made, it's a movie, and that's just not a good one, but it makes it that so once I digested all of that information, I started looking at the movie and goes, well, the elements of the parts that he did do are executed very well. It's the creature feature part is a great creature feature scene. The slasher part is a really good slasher scene. Like if you break down the elements of this movie, it's all good scenes. And I said, so then why is it not an enjoyable movie? And I realized it's because this movie is made, and it's just my headcanon. It is made for just horror geeks. It's made for horror geeks that can recognize all the tropes and enjoy and laugh. Like the fact that we get the Wanda Styles look-alike angry black woman. She felt like she was the only person in the movie taking it serious. Like she was like the only one. I'm like, hold on, does she not know this movie's a joke? Because everybody else does.
Because her partner's name's like Coco Chanel or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, get over here. But anyway, but yeah, it's all just silliness. And once I got that, it was silliness. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I mean, even down to the reveal, and Homeboy is just like, and I'm like, this is fucking silly as hell, and it's great. And once I got to that point of it, I'm like, this will be one of those movies that will be cultish amongst horror fans, that everybody who's not really genre happy, we're going to be like, why do you like this stupid shit? And we're going to be like, because it's just silly and it's fun. It's just what like us horror fans think about a movie and they're like, oh, this is great. So with all that being said, I don't disagree with anything you said, Jason. I just think all that shit was intentional and it was supposed to be stupid. It was supposed to be silly. It was supposed to be kind of fiendishly goofy. I think that's what it was. And like I said, when I found out it was a James Bond passion project, I'm like, oh, just like you guys probably have projects you guys want to make that are going to be instrumental to you guys that the masses of everybody aren't going to get or give a shit about. But the people that feel the way you feel about the genre you're making will see that passion project and go, oh, I feel that. I see what they were trying to do here. This is what I felt this was. And again, and I know it's outside information in my review, because if I didn't know that about Passion Project, I'd have been right there with you, Jason, and been like, why the hell did they give me this? Because this is trash. But knowing that it's a passion project from a guy who we know can make good movies of horror and etc., it made it raise my number a bit, because I was like, this movie will age better than what we feel like it was right now. So, Jaron, I now hand it on over to you.
Ooh, I guess we'll see about that last statement.
Last thing too. I hated the end. The switcheroo at the end did bother me.
Just suddenly be able to fucking do that shit, and it's like, this doesn't work.
Well, I didn't even mind that. I hated the fact that after the movies, I was really excited when the movie killed the sister and killed the mom. I was like, oh, now she's gonna get her powers after they die. That's gonna be great. That's a really good ending. And then they redid it, and I was like, fuck this movie. And then you put them behind Trump's wall. I was like, really double fuck this movie at that point. But anyway, go ahead, Jay.
Oh, I don't know if I want to watch the project that comes from the film student that's inspired by this movie, but a couple things that I did like about it. There was in the beginning, there was a very, very cool shot, and I think Jason agrees with me, where it was shot from the ceiling, essentially, the perspective of the ceiling, looking down as she moved through the house. And I thought that's something I have never seen. And I loved it. I thought it was great. And that's, I think, that may have been one of those things where he was like, I've always wanted to do something, shoot something like this. And then he insisted on it. And if that was part of where that passion came from, or as a result of his passion, then I'm all for it. He should have had more passion in it. This movie kind of made me want to check out the Seattle Underground. That shit's cool as fuck. I didn't realize that. That basically Futurama was just talking about Seattle when they're like, yeah, they just built New York over the top of old New York.
Old New York.
It's still there. It's all still there.
Yeah. This ghost, or at the time when I wrote this note, it was early on, not a ghost, but this ghost is hella dusty. Whenever he shows up, there is so much particulate in the air, and I know it's a style choice so that you can see like the God rays coming through windows and shit. But every time he's around, there's just dust around all the lights that just kind of like clouds up, and it's an interesting visual thing, but it doesn't really mean anything once you realize what the fuck's going on, because there's nothing supernatural. It's just creepy as fuck. Also, questionable choice on those questionable doctors just pushing his head into her skull and closing it up.
This will be fine. This will never come back and bite us on the ass.
Again,
this guys, is how surgery works. You just push your.
These guys absolutely shouldn't have a medical license just from what they were up to, but that's an extra questionable choice on that aspect. So, the thirsty crime scene chick is a whole fucking mood, and I was there for it. I absolutely loved that. Just it was thematically, she just did not fit into the movie, but every time she showed up and made like a play for the attractive detective, I was there for it. I loved it. Also, the fact that he ignored her left, right, and center and then tried to get with the sister was great. Adopted or not, like when they start going into her past, they were like, yeah, you begged us for your 9-year-old birthday party. Adopted or not, why is a kid having to beg for a fucking birthday party? It's like, what kind of horrible
shitty parents are you?
No wonder she has an imaginary friend that's murdering motherfucking kids. It's like, god damn.
It's a Bastille twin. That's
yeah. I did enjoy the chase with the cop. I thought it was well shot, well paced, and the cop had big ups and made some choices that get him through. And also, again, I was still trying to figure out what this thing was that was in the movie, but apparently it could take a bullet, and it was supernatural enough to get up the wall and out through the top. So I was like, well, it can't just be a human because it moves way too like that. But I guess they explain that with strength. So sister goes into her background a little bit, and she goes to this institution that's been closed since the 90s, and holy shit, she was born in Hogwarts. I was like, oh. I was like, damn, this motherfucker's a rundown ass Hogwarts. That it is a castle in the sky. This
it's the American version. The lack of funding.
I mean, did you also notice like where she parked, where she was going? It was like next to a cliff. There's no like front parking lot that's not like teetering on the edge of a cliff that you can park at.
When they closed their doors in the 90s, they also they cut off all the ground around it so that you have to park right next to it now.
Like, so you got to put your broomstick into there. That's why, guys. It's Hogwarts, the American Hogwarts. Come on. Keep up.
And once the reveal happened, I think my biggest issue with it was that it sounded like he was rearranging and breaking her bones every time he took over, and she seemed to recover from that shit exceptionally well. I talked to Jason about this. He was like, it may have just been more for the sound to make it an uneasy transformation, but I'm still trying to I was fucking around, moving my arms around and shit, and I don't know. If it's not supposed to be supernatural, don't fucking normalize some supernatural shit in it and just be like, yeah, just don't worry about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, make it adhere to the rules of the world if you're gonna be like, oh, it's just a growth.
All the supernatural stuff we don't like discuss on it, because like only thing they really explain supernaturally is just the strength. Because how is he like static talking through radios?
How can he talk through radios? Yeah.
Like they don't explain any of the supernatural stuff. They're just like,
he can turn on and off lights and shit.
Yeah. He can.
I just wow. And his little flipper strong arms were pretty fucking hilarious.
Quaid.
I'll fight you after I stir these mashed potatoes.
Use a strong hand.
Yeah. Still bigger than Liu Kang's dragon arms, but
Facts.
But yeah, overall, it wasn't the worst movie I've seen. It wasn't as bad as Signs, but it
open doors. He can open the door backwards.
Yep. When he goes on that rampage, killing motherfuckers. That the jail scene, that was a lot of fun. Our girl Diet Wanda Sykes, though, she got off like 3 shots with that shotgun that absolutely would have fucking wrecked that thing. Yeah. So that again, movies, but
I got a couple more things I want to say. There was an interesting idea in here that I thought kind of didn't really. If they had played this like just completely straight, that she was just a crazy person and she was suffering from like something like sleep paralysis, this probably would have scared me a lot more, because I used to suffer from sleep paralysis when I was a kid, and there was like a point where I was like, if they went in that direction, this would be really good. But they didn't. And number 2, when her husband dies and he gets his head like torn off, and the lady Wanda Sykes cop is like, well, there's no forced entry and she's a bad woman motive. And I'm like, are you a cop or are you just an idiot? Like, that's not how detective work works, all right? Just because there's no forced entry doesn't mean there wasn't anybody in the house, right? Yeah. Like, bad guys can get into your house without breaking in. They can just walk in by saying, hey, I'm your plumber, or whatever the fuck ever. Either way, you're going to believe this, 90-pound pregnant woman ripped her husband's head off? Like, come on.
Which she did.
But still.
Yeah. Especially like that's the thing I told Jared on, especially when they were like, oh, the hot obsessed with violence chick was like, oh, I've only seen these things like in really bad car wrecks. So I mean, she admits the force to be able to do this is above human.
Extra
human. It can't be done by a human.
And it's like, I think it's that bitch over there. There's
that pregnant bitch.
Or Diet Light's like, yeah, you expect me to believe that your imaginary friend is doing all this? Bitch, your partner saw him. Chase them like yes. That is
God,
what is needed to believe here.
She is worse of a cop than in Jolt than those cops in Jolt. She is way worse than those motherfuckers, and those guys are bad.
Oh man!
All right.
Rating,
Jason. What is your rating?
You know what? Let's give it a 9. Let's give it a 5 because this is just you should just go and watch this just for fun. It's so
wow,
so dumb. No, my real score is like a 2.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, my real score is a 2.5. If you're not into the genre, it's a skip. If you are in the genre, I would probably say it's a 3. So that's I'm gonna spit it and say a 2.5. Man, I enjoyed it, but I had to do a lot of stretches to get to the point where I was like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be. Okay.
Jason can do some mental gymnastics to like a movie.
Okay, yeah, if it's in my genre and the things I like, I'm like, okay, I get it now.
I'm also gonna give this a 2.5. It is a fun and interesting ride all the way up until you are disappointed by the tragic end to it. So, I mean, for that reason, and do not go to the theater for this. No. Get it on that HBO Max, but don't buy HBO Max for it. Wait for it if you don't have it already.
Buy it for Titans
because the ending is I would have saw this in the theater because I think he does a great job with the play of the colors in the movie. The blacks are not as black to show the imprint. It's a lot of filmmaking good shit in here that I would love to see on the big screen. But I can't recommend paying to go see that.
No.
That's a tough pull there. I'm gonna save you guys money. Yeah, but I think on the big screen it probably would have translated a lot better with booming sound and the contrast being more in a bigger screen. But nah.
Well, save your money for the next time he does another Annabelle movie or whatever. Go see that in the theater because the writing will be better and the directing will be as good.
Yeah, absolutely.